Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing great. I am Praneeth from the USMLE Sardi team. As a part of the series of videos that we have been doing on the USMLE, we are here again today to discuss about the various expenses in the USMLE journey. The journey to US residency not only demands a strong determination and passion, but also a need to plan and be prepared for the expenses at various stages of the USMLE journey. For the ease of the discussion and better understanding, I will first break this down in a systematic way based on how much it costs for each of the components like the USCE, the exams, the applications and others. Towards the end of the video, I will also classify it in a most practical way so that IMGs can plan and be prepared for the expenses at various stages of this journey. Okay, so first is the systematic classification, and here we have the cost for number one from start to the ECFMG certification, number two cost for applications, number three is the cost during the interview season. And in the cost from start to ECFMG certification, we first have the cost for USMLE exams, and the cost for the application for ECFMG certification or the certificate of verification, which is the form 186 or notary camp process, they charge you $150. And next is the step 1 fee, and the step 1 fee is $975 plus $180 surcharge fee if you take it outside the US. For India it is $180, and it depends on the testing location. So next, for the step 2 CK, the charge again $975 plus the surcharge fee, which is slightly higher here. And next is for the extension of eligibility period for step 1 and step 2 CK, the charge $90 per exam. And you get a 3-month eligibility period usually, and if you want to extend this 3-month eligibility period, that is where you will have to pay this $90, not usually. And then for a change in testing location that you request, you will have to pay $85 plus any extra surcharge fee for the testing location that you selected now. And about rescheduling the exam, it depends. If you are rescheduling your exam more than 31 days from the exam date, then they do not charge anything. And if you are doing it within 30 days, you will have to pay certain amount, and if you're doing within 5 days, you will have to pay even higher. So it varies from $0 to $604. And another exam that now IMGs have to take in order to get ECFMG certified is the OET, the Occupational English Test, and the cost for that is around $454 US, but it is actually charged in the Australian dollars, so it is 587 Australian dollars. So the total charge is for the USMLE exams is $3,067. This is not including any rescheduling or changing testing locations, because that is extra and not usually done. So yeah. So next off is the exam resources. In order to prepare for these USMLE exams, we generally use some standard resources, and I have mentioned those the most commonly used ones and how much it charges for each one of them. So in the resources for step 1, we have the Uworld QBank, First Aid and NBME. We usually have to pay for these. For the Uworld QBank, they charge $419 for 6 months. That is the usual subscription that we may have to take. For First Aid, the charge is $55. It costs $55. And NBMEs cost $60 per exam, and there are at least 6 of them. For the step 2 CK, again the Uworld QBank costs $419, and that is for the 6-month subscription, and that is usually enough. For the NBMEs, again they charge $60, and there are at least 3 of them for the step 2 CK, and there are also CMS forms that we usually purchase, and there are 3 of them for each subject, and each one costs $20. On an average, we usually end up paying around $1,600 for the resources to prepare for the step exams, and this is excluding any other costs that you may have to bear, like for example, you take a tutoring service or mentorship, or you may have to pay for the monthly library fees or something like that. So this is excluding those things, and it is usually $1,600. So next is the cost or expenses for the United States clinical experience, that is the rotations in the US. So unfortunately, this is where most of the expenses go, and we end up paying a lot over here. And the number of months that people do rotations in the US really depends, but 3 is the average and usually the required. So I've given the calculations for 3 months over here. For the application fees, which is usually non-refundable, and it is usually asked for a university elective or a hospital rotation, but that is not the case now, like most of them are not available. But yeah, it usually is anywhere between $100 and $300. And the elective fee next, which is usually paid on acceptance, may cost anywhere between $1,000 to $6,000. Like some universities or rotations like Stanford, Yale, Harvard, and University of Alabama, these all cost on the higher side. But taking the current situations into account, which is usually the availability is the clinic setting or rarely a hospital setting, so the average cost is around $1,500. So even USMLE Sardi offers rotations, and they're usually on this lower side between $1,000 to $1,500. You can take a look. We will provide the link in the description. And next is the other charges, that other things that are required for the rotations, like people usually ask for a health insurance, so that will cost anywhere between $100 to $150 for 6 months. And a professional liability insurance or malpractice insurance will cost between $300 to $350 per month. And it is usually on the higher side for surgical rotations, and towards the lower side for the non-surgical rotations. And for accommodation, it costs anywhere between $600 to $800 a month, and depending upon the location where you're rotating, it could be slightly even higher or lower than this. And for the other costs of living, like food and commute, like you may have to travel from the place of stay to the hospital, so all that is again going to charge another $300 to $500 per month. And I have provided the average for a 3-month rotation in the US, so it can cost you around $9,425. And next is the ECFMG pathway verification. Since the CS has been cancelled, and most of the IMGs will now have to go through the pathway process to get ECFMG certified, and the fee for the pathway application is $900. And this is a new thing, that is the fee to verify a credential or the medical diploma through EPIC, which is electronic portfolio for international credentials, is around $100. So put together for the pathway verification or ECFMG certification, it again costs around $1,000. After the USMLE exams and ECFMG certification, next is the cost for applications. So this is again another area where a lot of expenses go in, and it varies to a larger extent depending upon how many programs each person applies. So let's take a look. And so for the ERAS token, which is required for you to apply to the programs, it costs $150. And for the USMLE transcripts to be released, it is $85. And for the ECFMG certification to be released, it is $75. And next is the main part of these applications, that is and the cost depends upon the programs, the number of programs that you apply. And the calculation is not straightforward, it is slightly different. For up to 10 programs, it costs $99 total, and for the next 10, that is 11 to 20, it costs $16 each. And for programs between 21 to 30, it costs around $20 each. And if you're applying for 31 or more, for the rest of them, it costs $26 each. And here's how you calculate. I've given it for an average of 150 programs. Here's how you calculate, and here's the total average for that. And for the NRMP registration that you have to get in order to participate in the match is $150. So on an average, it is $4,039 if you apply to 150 programs. Last here is about the cost during the interview season. So it could be both virtual, it could be a virtual setting like it was for the 2021 math season, or it could be in-person setting. We don't know yet how the interviews are going to be conducted for the 2022 math season. I've given both of them over here, so depending on the situation you can use either of them to calculate how much it actually costs. So first, looking into the possibility of virtual interviews, the best part of such a setting is it avoids all costs associated with traveling and accommodation during the interviews. And here the costs are usually for a laptop. If you don't have one, you may have to purchase one, and it is going to cost you around $800 to $1,300, and other things like accessories like light, mic, camera, pair of formal clothes and others, and that is going to cost anywhere between $100 to $200. So the total average is going to be, including laptop, it is going to be around $1,200, and excluding it, it is going to be around $150. So next is a possibility of in-person interviews, and I've given an estimate for an average of around 5 interviews. So one is travel to US, which is constant irrespective of the number of interviews, so that is going to cost you around $1,000 to $1,300. Next is travel in the US, that is a domestic travel, food and stay during the interviews, and commute from the airport or the place of stay to the interview place, and that's going to cost around $700 per interview, and for 5 interviews it is $3,500. So the total average for 5 interviews here I've listed out is $4,600. Before we conclude and see how much it costs overall in an average, I would also like to give you a brief idea about how much it costs per year from the start of the journey. It is extremely helpful to know how in advance on how much we may have to spend at various stages of this journey, and here are the details of the same. So overall the expenses are relatively less in the beginning, but towards the mid, when IMGs have to go for rotations or during the application and interview season, the expenses are highest. So at the start of the journey to 6 months into the process, at this start of the journey, the expenses are relatively minimal and are usually for purchasing any resources for the step 1 exam and applying for the certificate of verification or form 186 process. And the amount that you need to be ready with is around $624, and here are the details of the same. Between 6 months and 1 year into the process, the costs are majorly for purchasing the NBMEs for the step 1 exam and applying to the step 1 exam itself, and the cost is around $1,500. Between a year and a half into the process, the expenses are usually for the step 2 CKA preparation, applying for the step 2 CKA exam, and also this is a phase where we usually apply for clerkships, and the total cost is around $3,500. Between a year and a half to 2 years, here is where we have a lot of expenses as an IMG for rotations, cost of living during rotation, applying for programs, and ECFMG certification and others. So the total cost is around $17,300. Between 2 and 2.5 years, that is towards the end of the journey, the cost here, if any, are for the interviews like we discussed before. If the interviews are virtual, the cost burden is significantly reduced to around $150, and with in-person interviews, the cost may be around $4,600. The average cost from the start to match in the USMLE journey for an IMG is around $21,000 to $25,000, which is around 15.5 lakhs to 18.5 lakh Indian rupees, depending upon number of factors like the number of cycles applied, having a family in the US, paid versus non-paid rotations, number of programs applied, and others. The cost may vary, but after all, you will realize that this is the best investment that you have made in your life. And if you've already weighed a home country residency versus a US residency and decided to pursue your US residency journey, then it is absolutely worth the money and efforts. So yes, so that's all we have for today. and let us know on what you think about this video, and also on any topics that you want us to make a video on. Thank you for the support, and I hope this was helpful.